All right, guys. Now let's talk about limiting beliefs. These are the things that are holding you back in life. These are the things that throughout your entire life you've heard from someone. It might be money is the root of all evil. It might be, rich people are greedy. All these things that you're kind of programmed from a very young age that you learn through movies, through your environment, through your parents. Your beliefs are all made up of your experiences throughout your life. Whether it's something your parents said, whether it's something you heard in a movie, the reason why that you believe something, the reason why you have the religion that you do, the reason why you believe what you believe, and you see the world the way you do, is because of how you were shaped growing up. All the stimulus is around you. And when we grow up in the society and with parents, especially if your parents weren't wealthy, especially if you grew up maybe in a bad neighborhood, or you grew up under not the best conditions, or you maybe had a parent who was discouraging, instead of encouraging you to do great things. Maybe they were super fearful and told you not to do something. Maybe they told you not to try new things, or maybe they went ahead and told you something about money that really isn't true, or maybe is holding you back in life. you know there's there's things going on constantly around us that are shaping who we become. And a lot of the things that you believe right now may not even be true. You might think that six figures is a lot of money. You might think that money is hard to make. You might think that you need to already have clients to get clients. You have all these beliefs that you have right now that you think are true, that might be holding you back from achieving what you want in life, and you might not even realize it. You might not even realize that it's a limiting belief. You might think that it's a truth, when in reality, it's holding you back from achieving success. And a limiting belief is a false belief that a person acquires as a result of making an incorrect conclusion about something in life. So if you went to go try out for the basketball team and the coach was in a bad mood and you didn't make the team because he didn't like you, you might think you're bad at basketball. You may have lost a lot of games growing up when you were playing soccer. So now you think it's hard for you to win. Now you think winning is something that's difficult. You might think that, you might be programmed to assume failure, right? Your mom may have constantly struggled with money, and your relatives may have constantly struggled with money. And they may have constantly said things about rich people, like they were greedy, or they may have looked down on rich people. And you might think that rich people are greedy. Maybe you think being rich is a bad thing because of that. You may have watched a lot of negative movies. Maybe your parents watched a lot of horror movies all the time. That's the only type of movie they like to watch. And maybe a lot of really bad things happened in those horror movies, and that's what you grew up watching as a kid. So now you're constantly fearful. You can see how things throughout your entire life could shape who you've become. All your experiences, your environment, the people around, the people you listen to, the content you consume, the people you follow on Instagram. Maybe you follow a bunch of models, and because you follow a bunch of models, maybe you feel insecure. Maybe you feel the level of beauty or the level of attractiveness that you need to achieve. Maybe you feel insecure because you judge yourself based off of these other people that maybe have unrealistic standards of beauty. Throughout your entire life, you have all these different things going on around you that are shaping who you are now and shaping what you believe. And many of what you believe is negative. One of the real big reasons why rich people have kids who become rich, even if they don't inherit wealth, is because of the beliefs that they instill in their kids. They may have taught their kids that money is a good thing. They may have taught them that it's their duty in life to get money, because money, the more money they have, the more people they can help. Maybe they made them believe that becoming successful is their duty and becoming successful is achievable for them. Maybe whenever they were really little and they tried to climb the trees or they tried to try something new that may have been a little bit dangerous, maybe their parents encouraged them. Maybe if they came up with an idea, their parents gave them the tools to create that idea. All the little things that happen throughout your life shape who you are. And it's a big reason why some people become successful and some people never become successful. How about those friends or those family members that you know who have been the same place their entire life? Maybe your mom or your grandmother or your uncle. Maybe something keeps happening over and over in their life. Maybe they have a gambling problem and they lose all their money and they end up going to jail. And then when they get out of jail, they go back and gamble again and they never learn their lesson. Maybe they watched their father do the same thing. And now they think that's what they should do. Or maybe they don't even realize that they got that habit from their father and they just keep doing it over and over again because that's what seems natural to them. And they don't even realize the reason why they do it is because of what they experienced in their childhood, what they experienced when they were younger, what they watched growing up is the reason why they do what they do now. And they don't even realize it. They just make the same mistake over and over again. They have the same thoughts their father thought. And, they don't even realize it. And this is happening to you constantly. Your brain is constantly is constantly searching for a way to make a decision. And you've become programmed to make a certain decision. And your beliefs are because of your programming. And here are 15 of the common limiting beliefs that you probably have that are holding you back from achieving success in life, that are keeping you from becoming the person that you could become. These are the things that you learned from your mom, your dad, that you watched growing up. These are the things that maybe your ancestors had that were passed down from generations that you don't even realize. That's part of your DNA. These are the things that the movies you watch, the books you read, the things your teacher said. Your environment constantly influenced. You're influenced by your environment, by all your experiences throughout your entire life, whether that's books, whether that's movies, whether that's the content that you consume, whether that's who you follow on Instagram, whether that's what YouTube videos you watch, whether it's what mentors you have, whether that's your uncle, your aunt. Throughout your entire life, everything around you, everyone around you has shaped who you are and created limiting beliefs or maybe empowering beliefs. So one of the big ones is money is the root of all evil. You may have grown up and your parents may have struggled with money. Your parents may have been middle class. Maybe your parents really complained about money all the time. Everything was made about money. The reason why you couldn't go on more trips was because of money. The reason why you couldn't travel was because of money. The reason why you couldn't do things was because of money. The reason why your parents argued was because of money. And because your parents didn't have enough money, they told you that rich people were greedy. You watched movies about wealthy people being evil. You watched you watched all the evil characters in movies being rich people. You may not even realize it, but many of the movies you watched, the characters who are bad, who are evil, are always rich. Just think about James Bond. The super wealthy guy with a mansion who can afford to pay for a helicopter to shoot down James. Maybe even in a movie like Star Wars, The bad guy has enough money or enough resources to have an entire Death Star. And the rebels who are, don't have the best equipment, they don't have the best resources compared to the bad guys, and they're able to scramble and use their limited resources to come up on top, to become successful, to beat the bad guys who have the most resources. You don't even realize it, but throughout your entire life, everything around you has made you believe that money is the root of all evil. You've seen all the bad guys in all the movies be evil. You've heard what your parents say. And that made you believe that you can't make six figures. Maybe because of what your parents said and what you watched in movies, maybe you thought six figures was a lot of money. Maybe you think that's a hard achievement to have. Maybe you think that that's the pinnacle of wealth. My dad, he was a mechanic. And in his best years as a mechanic, he was making over $100,000 a year as a mechanic. And he worked extremely hard to make that money. And in the best years of his life, in the best year of his work, that's how much money he was making. But then the economic collapse came in 2008, and he stopped making that amount of money. And ever since then, he's been struggling. That's been his goal, to make that amount of money. And he's been working really hard every single year to make that money, and he just never could. He could never find a place busy enough, never could find a mechanic shop busy enough to make that amount of money. So now it's almost like he believes that six figures is not achievable. And that's what I've grown up watching. I've been influenced by seeing him struggle to make that amount of money and never be able to get there. And now it's made me believe, it made me believe for a while that was a hard achievement to have. My mom, it took my mom, 20 something years as a social worker to make six figures. She makes six figures today consistently, but it took her something like 20 years in the same job to make that amount of money. So that made me believe that was a high achievement. Throughout school, all the teachers talk like that's a lot of money. They talk about how, when you did job search and you looked up how much money a certain job would pay you, you would see that the highest paying jobs would pay you six figures. And you would think like, man, I want those jobs. But most people don't make that much money. Maybe in social studies, you learned that the average household income was $52,000 a year. And that's what you believed. And that's the truth. So that made you believe that six figures was really hard to make. Maybe it made you believe it took 10 years. Maybe right now you think you're going to have to run your agency for 15 years in order to make six figures because you think that's so much money. And because you believe that six figures is so much money, it becomes hard for you to make that much money. In fact, you hold yourself back from making that much money. You don't take a lot of action. You talk to a couple business owners a day. Maybe you only make like 20 calls a day because you're just thinking, six figures is a lot of money. It's not something I'll be able to do. So let me take a little bit of action because that's what I believe. So it's holding you back. Maybe you believe you're bad at sales. Maybe you believe salespeople are evil, and that's why you're bad at sales. Maybe you believe sales is a bad job. I remember growing up, I got a sales job with a company called Vector Marketing, which was a network marketing company. And I believe I was 17 at the time. And my mom told me that I would never be able to make money with it. I was selling knives that were like hundreds of dollars. Like really expensive knives, but they're the highest quality knives. And I still have the knives today and I really like them. I keep one in like my dresser in case someone bad comes. But, my mom said to me that, I was never going to be able to make money with that job. No one was ever going to buy those knives. The people around me look bad at salespeople, look down on salespeople. You hear about sleazy salespeople. People complain about going to car dealerships. In all the movies you watched as a kid, the salespeople were always like really sleazy people who were always trying to get over on people. They were always up to something no good. They were selling and they were selling a bad product. And you see this in movies all the time that you grow up watching or TV shows where the salesperson is sleazy. where they make you feel like sales is like the bottom of the barrel job to have. When in reality, when you sell, you have no ceiling on what you sell. And in fact, salespeople are what drive the economy. You need to be a great salesperson. It's one of the most important skills you can possibly have in life. Yet you may believe that you're bad at sales because that's what, society made you to believe. And you've never done sales. You've never done enough of sales to become good at sales. And things take practice. And maybe growing up, you never really played that many sports competitively. So you didn't realize that practice is the key to success. So now you think you're bad at sales even though you've never practiced it, because you didn't even realize that you need the practice to become successful at anything. And that's what you believe because of your experiences in your life. Maybe you think work can't be enjoyable because you saw your parents arguing and miserable every day at work. Maybe you think work has to be a bad thing because the school system made you believe that work was a bad thing. The teachers go ahead and yell at you. You're given this work and you hate the work. So now you think that work can't be enjoyable because growing up, learning sucked. Going to school sucked. You didn't get good grades. You were banging your head against the wall at difficult projects. You weren't interested in the topic, and it didn't come natural to you. You didn't have any natural strength in what you were learning about. So now you think it can't be enjoyable because of what you grew up experiencing. But that isn't true. Work can be enjoyable. If you have the right mission and you have the right determination and you make it a habit, it'll become fun. You don't even think about taking a shower. I mean, you literally have water pouring down on you. Is that fun? Putting soap and having water pour down on you every day? Is that a fun thing to do? But you don't even think about it. You just do it. Taking a shower is a thing to do. That's just something you do because it's become a habit. Have you ever thought about how kind of weird that is? It's kind of weird. You wouldn't just walk out in the rain and just let rain pour down on you. Right? That seems a lot more weird, but it's the same exact thing. Because when you do something over and over again and you make something a discipline and you do it a lot, it becomes natural and it can become enjoyable. You may think you need to know everything before you get started. You listen to all these gurus and all these people who know all these things. They're so knowledgeable and they're so successful, but you don't see the bottom of the iceberg. You only see the tip of the iceberg. You see the top of the mountain. You don't see all the work it went into, that went into achieving that success, right? You saw the building, but you didn't see the building being made. So you see the success and it makes you feel like you're behind because you compare yourself to this person. But you got to understand it's a journey. You will never know everything before you get started. It's a climb. It's a constant climb. You're constantly developing yourself. And if you don't achieve success in the first year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, which you definitely will if you continue to learn. But my point is you got to continue to learn. It's a climb. You got to climb the mountain. You won't start off at the top of the mountain. It never works that way. You got to continue to learn, continue to improve yourself to get to where you want to go. You might think, I need past clients to get clients to pay me. Maybe you think you already need clients to get clients. And that's why you think you need to do free trial, which isn't true. It isn't true. But the reason why you believe this is because you're not confident in your service. You have low self-worth and low belief in your service. When the reality is you could get a client and then learn how to get that client results after you get that client. You have all the resources. You have a lot more time than the business owner to learn how to achieve success with marketing. You have all the time. You have way more time than them. They're working in their business. That is what they're focused on. So they don't have time to learn marketing. They don't have time to get good at social media. You do. Even after you get them as a client, you get your first client, you have plenty of time, a couple hours a day, an hour or two a day to learn how to get them results. So you can get a client to pay you before. And what you can do is you can leverage other people's success and show them what you could do for them in your meeting. and use that to land them as a client. If I fail, it means I'm a failure. Maybe you believe because you didn't get a client that you suck. Maybe you have low self-worth because you've been trying to get a client and you weren't able to get a client yet. Maybe you think you're a failure. Maybe you're afraid of failure. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you are afraid of failure. And that's why you don't try that hard. Because you're afraid that if you fail, then you're a failure. When in reality, failure is part of success. You have to fail to achieve success. At some point, everyone has failed. Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, has made billions of dollars worth of failures. Billions. At one point in his career, he bought like 9 or 10 different companies for millions of dollars each that he just never used. He spent billions of dollars on companies and they just faded away. All the employees left. The business failed. He's had billion-dollar failures. But did he think that means he's a failure? No. He kept going. Instead of a failure, he says, that was an experiment. That was a good experiment. I experiment didn't work, but now on to the next experiment. Thomas Edison made thousands of light bulbs before he created one that actually worked. Thousands of experiments before he found one that worked. Did he tell himself he was a failure? No. What's the difference between you, Jeff Bezos? What's the difference between you and Jeff Bezos and the difference between you and Thomas Edison? Nothing. Do they have an higher IQ than you? Maybe. But if Jeff Bezos has 150 IQ and you have 130 IQ, does that 20-point difference? Is that 20-point difference the difference between a billionaire and someone who makes $50,000 a year? Of course not. Of course not. It's about how they think. It's about their beliefs. And you can change your beliefs. Other people control my life. Some people think the government, some people think that they're controlled by their environment. They think that everything around them dictates who they are. When the reality is, it couldn't be further from the truth. Oprah Winfrey grew up in the ghetto, was molested as a kid. Now she's a billionaire. She controlled her life. She steered her life. She assumed control of the helm of the ship, grabbed the steering wheel, and steered her life in the direction she wanted her life to go in. She didn't let anyone control her life. Neither should you, because you are in control. Look around you. Michael Jordan didn't get accepted to his high school basketball team. So he worked really, really hard to become really, really good and changed his mindset, changed his attitude, and became one of the best players of all time. Despite the fact he never got accepted. He controlled his life. He decided the outcome of where he went in his life. You might think you're too young or you're too old. You might think because you're 18 years old, you're 17 years old, you're 25 years old, that business owners won't listen to you. You might think you don't have the experience, right? You might think that, when that's completely irrelevant. You might think that you have to be 30 to make six figures, that you have to be older to make six figures. That might be what you think. Yet if you look around at our society right now, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, these silly dudes are making millions of dollars by posting videos of themselves on the internet. Literally, all they're doing is recording themselves on a daily basis and being entertaining, and they make millions of dollars. That's all they're doing. So if they can do it, why can't you? Tanner Fox, Caleb Maddox. What's the difference between Caleb Maddox and you? Why did Caleb Maddox become a 16-year-old millionaire? Because he learned the right things and he had the right beliefs, because he thought he could. There are way crazier things. If you're trying to make six figures or seven figures, there are way crazier things that humans have achieved at all different ages. Like Colonel Sanders became a billionaire, started KFC when he was like 70 years old. Humans have literally figured out how to make so a plane will only crash 1 in 1,000 times. 1 in 10,000 times. It's called Six Sigma. Six Sigma. They figured out how to make so a flying machine, a flying piece of metal, never crashes. Making six figures is a lot easier to do than that. Imagine the person who figured out how to build the first skyscraper. Making six figures is a lot easier than that. How about the person who even invented a printer? Do you have any idea how to even do that? No, I have no idea how to do that. So what you are trying to achieve is way easier than people of all ages have achieved before you. I need a degree and a bunch of credentials to succeed. How many people around you, how many people in the world have achieved massive success without a degree? What's the difference between you and those people? Nothing. You have the same 24 hours. You're both humans. You both put your pants on the same way every single day. Success doesn't come easy to me. Well, that's maybe because you haven't worked hard enough at something. Maybe you think that because of how you grew up as a kid. Maybe your football team always lost. Rich people are greedy and arrogant. Once again, you might believe that because of what you saw on TV, but it's not true. The best people I've ever met have been rich people. Because you know what? In order to achieve success, in order to make money, 99% of the people became wealthy. It's because they helped the most people. You become wealthy by helping the most people. If you help the most people, you will become the most rich. The more value you provide the world, the more money you make. Amazon serves billions of people, and they serve them the best. And they focused on serving them. And because they've served the most people, they become the most profitable company. People would judge me if I succeed. Who cares? It's okay to be just comfortable. When you're on your deathbed, will you have thought to yourself, wow, I lived a really comfortable life. Amazing. Or will you have sat on your deathbed thinking about all the things you didn't do because you were comfortable? You may see the people around you, your parents, whoever, trying to be comfortable. And you might think that's a good way to live because that's what they do. You might think that's what you should do. You should be comfortable. You might think I can always start later. I have time. But those are lies. Because you don't have a lot of time. And you don't want to live your life comfortably. What would you regret on your deathbed? Picture yourself at 80 years old thinking about your beliefs. Did your beliefs hold you back from living your best life? Is what you believe now going to help you live the best possible life? At the end of the day, the goal is to live the best possible life possible. To maximize our one life. That's our goal at the end of the day. Will you do that with your current beliefs? Will you have made the most of your one life on this earth with your current beliefs? Or did your beliefs empower you to live your best life? You have two choices. This is a choice. Your beliefs can either hold you back from living your best life, or they can empower you to live your best life. Those are two choices that you can consciously make. You have the choice right now to decide, am I going to keep the same beliefs and live a mediocre, comfortable life? Or am I going to change my beliefs and live my best possible life? That is your choice right now that you have to make. What are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the easy route, which is to keep the same beliefs, keep the same wiring? Or are you going to work to change your beliefs so that you can live your best life, so that you can be empowered? What are you going to do? Make that decision right now. Now, if you said yes, you're going to change your beliefs. Here's the key to doing that. It's reprogramming your brain. Your programming creates your beliefs, which create your actions, which create habits. The reason why you have the habits you have right now is because of your beliefs. So in order to change your actions and change the outcome of your life, you have to change your habits. And your habits are created by your programming. The reason why you do what you do is because of what you believe. You wouldn't go to college if you believed that it was impossible for you not to become a billionaire without it. If you thought you could easily become a billionaire without college, and that was genuinely a belief you had, you wouldn't go to college. So your beliefs dictate your actions. And, I've really worked on doing this because I used to be an absolute mess in many different ways. So I really know what it's like to reprogram your brain. Because this person right here on the left, this Tristan, is completely different from this one on the right in many, many, many different ways. Now, you see here this picture on the left. This is sophomore year of high school. This is in the basement of my dad's house. My parents got a divorce when I was in 9th grade. And you can see the caption here. It says LLS, which means laugh like shit. How I'm feeling every day. Goddamn, these fake malicious people need to start like a revolution or something. Like, I'm done with it. And then I edited this picture and I'm flicking off society. Super just miserable kid. I used to do some bad things. I used to steal earrings. I used to hang out with like bad kids. I used to be super depressed and like suicidal and stuff like that. And just was overall not a good kid. The complete opposite, literally the polar opposite of who I am now. I used to get in fights all the time, fist fights. I used to fight people. I used to be really angry. I used to be a really angry person. And this is, I believe this is junior year, I think. I became a little happier. Or maybe this is beginning of senior year, I don't know. But I decided to take a picture like this. Like, what person in the right mind would have this haircut, take a picture like this, and think that this was a good look? Like, I had earrings, sunglasses that were way too big for my face, and a haircut that made me look like a bull. Like, what person in their right mind would look like this? Like, would think that this is a good look? Someone who is not thinking right. Right? So what I did is I worked from here, sophomore year, all the way to where I am now, is I worked on reprogramming my brain. I changed my beliefs. I started listening to Tai Lopez. I started going ahead and reading some books. And sophomore year, when I was early in my journey, before I ever discovered entrepreneurship, I would always be getting depressed, right? I always would get really sad in the middle of school. And one day, what I decided to do, I decided to promise myself that every single time a negative thought came to my brain, I would immediately replace it with a positive thought. One day, I hit rock bottom, and I think I started crying in school. And I said to myself, or maybe I saw a quote online, something happened that triggered me to say, look, me being depressed isn't doing anything for me. Other people feeling bad for me does nothing for me. Because at the end of the day, the only person who can really take care of me is me. Who's really going to care about me is me. So I need to change myself and stop relying on other people to change me. So I made a conscious effort, and this was extremely difficult. Every single time a negative thought came to my brain, I would replace it with a positive thought about how I was grateful. So one day I was sitting in class and I read like a bad text from the girl I was talking to at the time, like, I don't know what it was, something negative. And instead of getting sad, I said, you know what? I'm going to replace that thought, the thought of, oh, I'm no good, with the thought of, let me try and become better. I can find better. I'm amazing. And at one point in what I did is every single day I would wake up in the morning And I would tell myself that I can do anything I set my mind to. I had morning affirmations. Every single morning, I would say, I can do anything I set my mind to. I can do anything I set my mind to. I can do anything I set my mind to. You're amazing. You're amazing. You can do anything. You can easily make 6 figures. 6 figures is easy for you to make. 6 figures is easy for you to make. And I would say that to myself like 100 times. I would say each thing like 100 times over and over and over again until I started believing it. And that's one way to reprogram your brain. And throughout my journey, I've become someone who's the complete opposite of who I am now. I look like a thug, and I don't even know what I was wearing. I just completely different. Just completely different person in the wrong way. I went from like cold to hot. Like that's how drastic of a change I made. So if I can do it, you can do it. Now let's talk about how I was able to do this. Books, reading the right books. I'm going to leave some books down below that you guys can read that, can help you change, right? Personal development books, reading books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, which was the first personal development book I ever read. Reading books like Think and Grow Rich, learning about successful people, reading the story of, Sam Walton, who started Walmart, Made in America. Reading success stories will make you believe that it's possible. The Everything Story by Jeff Bezos. Reading those books, reading about how people go from the bottom to building a giant empire makes you believe it's possible. Seeing the possibilities around you, reading about the possibilities around you will help you believe that you can do it yourself, and will start to change your mind and start to rewire your brain to think automatically, of course I can do it. Of course I can do it. Why wouldn't I be able to do it? If they can do it, I can do it. Why not? That's what you'll start to think. Mentors. Some of you guys, you're not really sure where to go to find a mentor. And I promise you, mentors will find you if you start to take action. If you start to work on yourself, you will find mentors. But even if you don't, you can find mentors in programs. Consider me your mentor. You can reach out to people on Instagram for help. Take people out to dinner in exchange for them going ahead and help to be around them, right? Offer to pay for a nice dinner for them just to be around them. Watching YouTube videos by the right people. Let someone on YouTube become your mentor. Instagram. You have so many mentors around you, they don't need to be an in-person mentor. Consuming the right content. Who do you follow on Instagram? Literally, if you're following people you went to high school with or negative people, unfollow them. Unfollow negative people. Unfollow political stuff. Unfollow anything negative. Anything not what you want. If you don't want to be like the friends you went to high school with, unfollow them. Unfollow all the negative influences in your life. Don't watch the news. Don't read negative articles. Avoid hospitals. Anywhere in your life where negativity, stay away. Stay away from negativity. It's just going to make you negative. It's going to make you unhappy. Don't watch the news. Stay away from anything that's negative. Really evaluate the content you're consuming right now and ask yourself, am I consuming the right content? Am I consuming something that will empower me? And that goes hand in hand with getting rid of negative influences. Any friends who are negative, leave them behind. I don't care what type of past you have with them. Leave them behind. You got to understand what is you living your best possible life worth to you. You become the 5 people you surround yourself with. Remove negative influences from your life. If your parents are negative, avoid them. Avoid them. Tune them out. Work at Starbucks. Work in your room with headphones on. Tune them out. Tune out all the negative influences in your life. If someone always gives you negative criticism or negative feedback or tells you what you're doing is negative, avoid them at all cost. Get rid of the negative influences in your life. Stay away from them. Stop following bad news. Stop watching the news. Stop reading the negative part of the newspaper. Turn off the radio. Negative music, turn it off. Find new friends. Find people who empower you. Find people with a common future, not a common past. Go to events. This is something I used to do. I used to go to $50 events before I could afford $200, $400 events. Go to free events. Google business events. Download Meetup on your phone and go to Meetup events that are free and surround yourself with like-minded business people. It's a start. Watch the right type of videos. Watch people who inspire you, who are where you could be. Logan Paul, Jake Paul. When I was early in my career, I used to watch them and it would inspire me because I was like, if these guys can do it, I can certainly do it. I can certainly make millions if these goofballs are making millions. Why can't? What's the difference between me and them? Nothing. Control your thoughts. Whenever you have a negative thought come to your mind, you can control your thoughts. You have control over everything you think. Replace negative thoughts with positive thoughts. Make your default thoughts positive thoughts by replacing all the negative thoughts. Affirmations. This is one of the best ways to do this. I'm going to give you guys a list of affirmations every single morning. Say them to yourself. Say things to yourself. I can do anything I set my mind to. I am unstoppable. I can achieve success. If they can do it, why can't I? I will make six figures. I will have a six-figure agency. I will have a six-figure agency. I will have a six-figure agency. I will have a... Say it over and over and over and over until you believe it. Until that's your default thought. Until that's what you genuinely believe. Eat the right food. Your food can affect, how you feel. It really does. It affects how you feel. Eat the right food. Work out. When you get your blood pumping and you really get, a workout on and you really get yourself moving, it'll make you be more positive. And it'll change your perspective on things. Because if you haven't worked out in a long time, you have a lot of built up stress that is changing the way you think. That's controlling the way you think. Positive influences. So find positive influences in your life. Surround yourself with people who are positive. Positive videos, positive content. Courses. Pay for courses just like this one. Avoid bad environments. If home is negative to you, find ways to go away from home. That's what I used to do. I used to never work at home. I wouldn't come home until 9 o'clock at night. Change your environment. Go to great places. Spend time in hotels that, are really rich hotels. Like I used to go and I would work at the Ritz-Carlton or I would work at the Four Seasons hotels. That's where I used to work. And I used to surround myself in those environments because that's going to rub off on you. Because I'll see successful people, I'll hear them talk, and I'll be surrounded by them, and it's going to change the way I think. This is not an easy battle, guys. It's not easy to do this. It's not. It's not an easy thing for you to do. It takes time. It takes dedication. It takes consistently. And it's going to happen over time. It's going to be something that you have to continuously go ahead and work on every single day. But your one life depends on it. Your one life depends on it. So it's worth it. It's worth it. You have a choice. Live your best life or live a life not your best life. What are you going to choose? What are you going to choose? Are you going to put in the work every day even though it's hard? Or are you going to give up and accept comfortable and accept your current beliefs and settle for mediocrity? What are you going to do? What would 80-year-old you want you to do? Looking back on your life at 80 years old, will you be filled with regrets? Or will you say, I did a good job, I did what was hard, but because of that, I was able to live my best life, or as close to my best life as I can possibly imagine myself being able to. What are you going to choose? You have that decision. It's going to take some work. It's not going to be easy. But make the decision right now to choose to live your best life. And I'm going to leave some resources down below that are going to help you do that. I hope this video was valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.